Good morning, all of you. How are you? I hope all of you are fit and fine. In our previous class, we were reading Silk Road. Now, you have learned the name of the writer also of this travelogue. Who was the narrator or who was the writer of the Silk Road? Nick Middleton. This name you might have learned also so many times. Who was the writer? Who was the story writer, or who was the narrator of this story? Silk Road. Nick Middleton was the narrator of this travelogue. Actually, Silk Road is a travelogue. Okay. In our previous class, we were discussing about the narrator who was thinking about Norbu. Narrator who was thinking about the Norbu, to whom he met in the Darchen's only cafe, and he was very much happy that at least there is one person in this Darchen who knows English and to whom he can talk in English and to whom he can express his views, express his thoughts. He was very much happy with Norbu because he knows English, and by knowing this thing, narrator was feeling very much happy. And he says that I didn't think he was from those parts because he was wearing a windcheter. Because in the Darchen, no one was there who was speaking this English language. That's why narrator had made a presumption that the people of this Darchen was unaware about the English. That's why he said that this Norbu doesn't belong to this native place, to this Darchen, because narrator here says that because he was wearing a windcheter. He was wearing a windcheter and a metal rimmed spectacles of a Western style. How beautifully, means how naturally he expressed his view and expressed his feelings, that how Norbu really looks like. And by reading these lines, we make a presumption that yes, this is the view, this is the real posture of the Norbu, how he was looking like. Means here Nick Middleton very beautifully picturizes the Norbu, that how he was looking. He was not looking like the Tibetan people. He was actually wearing a windcheter. The windcheter means, we are discussing in our previous class what this windcheter means. Windcheter in our previous class we have discussed also. This windcheter means the jacket which we wore in order to prevent from the cold waves, cold air. This is known as the windcheter. Okay. And Norbu was wearing a metal rimmed spectacles. Actually, there are various types of spectacles, simple one, plain one, but Norbu, who was wearing a metal rimmed spectacles. Metal means metal rimmed spectacles of a Western style. By this gesture, by this posture, he got the knowledge that Norbu doesn't belong to the Darchen. He was Tibetan, he told me. Now the narrator says that Norbu told him that he was a Tibetan but worked in Beijing at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. And this Norbu, who belongs to, because actually narrator doesn't knew that from where Norbu belongs, but when Norbu himself only told that he belongs to Tibet, he belongs to Tibet, and what he worked in Beijing at the Chinese Academy, and he worked in the Beijing in the Chinese Academy, and he worked in the Chinese Academy and he worked in the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Okay. He says that this Norbu, who himself only introduces to the narrator that he belongs to Tibet, as well as he told that he was working in Beijing, and he was working in Beijing at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, in the Institute of Ethnic Literature, in the Institute of Ethnic Literature. We are discussing about the Norbu, to whom narrator met in the Darchen's only cafe, and he was very much happy with the Norbu because Norbu knows English and he spoke also in English. That's why it is said. That's why narrator says that he was feeling very much happy that at least there was someone in the Darchen to whom he can express his feeling, express his thoughts. That's why he was very much happy with the Norbu, and the narrator was sitting beside the window of the Darchen's only cafe, along with the notebook, in order to time pass his crucial time. But narrator noticed that Norbu was looking all this activity very carefully, that what narrator was doing, why narrator was sitting beside the window, why he was holding the notebook, and he brought also a novel. Then when Norbu noticed all this thing, then Norbu himself reaches to the narrator and asked, "Sir, may I sit opposite to you?" Means he himself wants to talk with the narrator, Norbu. And when Norbu sit there, then narrator got the knowledge, then the narrator got the information that Norbu also knows English. And he was very much happy that yes, at least there is one person in this Darchen who knows English, to whom he can talk in English and can express his views and thoughts. Then Norbu himself told the narrator that he belongs to Tibet. Actually, in the previous, he doesn't knew about the Norbu, who he is and what he want. Okay. But when Norbu himself tells that he belongs to Tibet, then he tells that he belongs to Tibet, but he worked in Beijing. But he worked in Beijing at Chinese Academy. But he worked in the Beijing at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Okay, he worked at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, and this is in the Institute of Social Sciences, in the Institute of Ethnic Literature. There he works. Okay. I assumed he was on some sort of field work. I assumed, and when all this information had been given by the Norbu to the narrator, then he assumed that he might have come to do some sort of field work in order to do some research, in order to gain some useful informations from this place. Okay. Yes and no. Then Norbu says yes also and no also. He said yes and no. I have come to do the Kora. He said that I have come here to do Kora. My heart jumped. The moment he says that I have come here to do Kora, narrator's heart jumped. Narrator's heart jumped means he becomes so happy that, oh my God, that Norbu also and I, both of you have come here to do the Kora. Means we will be very much thankful to each other that we have got a good company to do the Kora. Norbu had been writing academic papers about the Kailash Kora. And what Norbu was doing? Norbu had been writing means past perfect continuous, means from the past the thing which he had started still he is doing. Norbu had been writing academic papers. Norbu had been writing academic papers about the Kailash Kora. Norbu had been writing academic papers about the Kailash Kora and its importance in various works of Buddhist literature and its importance in various works of Buddhist literature for many years. This is the work which Norbu was doing. Okay. It is said that Norbu had been writing academic papers. Academic papers means he, for the use of the academic purpose, he had been writing the Kailash Kora so that everyone gets the knowledge. Norbu had been writing academic papers about the Kailash Kora and its importance in various works of Buddhist literature and its importance and its demand, its importance is essential thing, its importance in various works of Buddhist literature for many years. This work had been done for many years. He told me, this thing he told to the narrator. But he had never actually done it himself. But actually, this thing he had not done himself. When the time came for me to tell him what brought me to Darchen, his eyes lit up. When the time and when the correct situation, when the correct time had came to tell him, when the correct time had been came there to tell him why he was brought to the Darchin. His eyes lit up. We could be a team. And he says that why we have come here? Because we want to become a team. He said excitedly, means due to the enthusiasm, due to the happiness. He says that we have come here. For what purpose? We have come here to unite each other, to become a team. He said excitedly. He said excitedly. To academics who have escaped from the library, to academics who have escaped from the library, perhaps my positive thinking strategy was working after all. Two academics who have escaped from the library, means here the narrator said that the Norbu and himself, he said that these two academics, means these two people have escaped from the have been saved from the library. Perhaps my positive thinking strategy was working after all. And he says that perhaps after all my positive thinking strategy is working at all. My initial relief at meeting Norbu, who was staying in the guest house, was tempered by the realization that he was almost as ill-equipped as I was for the pilgrimage. And now narrator says that his initial relief, his initial comfort comes when he meet Norbu. His initial comfort, his initial relaxation came when he met Norbu, who was also staying in the guest house, who was also taking the rest in the guest house, who was also residing in the guest house, was tempered by the realization, was analyzed by the realization that was tempered by the realization that he was almost as ill-equipped as I was for the pilgrimage, and he realized that he was also not well equipped as he was. Now here the narrator wants to say that since he was also not well prepared to move to the Mount Kailash, in the same way Norbu was also not well equipped to do the Kora. He kept telling me how fat he was, and the narrator says that Norbu keep on telling him that how fat he was. Okay, he was telling him continuously that how fat he was and how hard it was going to be, and how hard it is going to be. Very high up. And when Norbu tells him that he was very fat, actually Norbu was very fat, he kept telling that he was very fat and how hard it was going to be, and since he was very fat and how much trouble he had to face, let's see. Very high up. Now since the weight of the Norbu was very much, that's why he was continuously telling the narrator that he was very fat and they have to move very high, because Mount Kailash is on the top, is on the height. That's why he said that we very high up. We kept reminding me, means we have to move very high, and this thing he always keeps on reminding the narrator. So tiresome to walk, and he says that since he has to move to a height, and it was very tiresome task to do. He wasn't really a practicing Buddhist, and here the narrator says that actually he wasn't really a Buddhist, because from all this speaking, from all these words, narrator had got the knowledge that he was not a Buddhist, because Buddhists never feared from all these highs, from all these struggles, from all these labors. They are always ready to face the situations. He wasn't really a practicing Buddhist. Actually, he was not really a practicing Buddhist. It transpired. It transpired. What is what transpired mean? Transpired means predicted. Means the thing which is not like that, but it is assumed like that. Predicted. Okay. From the words of the Norbu, narrator had got the knowledge that he was not a practicing Buddhist. It only transpired. That Norbu only predicted, but he had enthusiasm, and he was of course Tibetan. Narrator had got the knowledge that since he was not a practicing Buddhist, because he was fat and he was feeling very afraid that he has to move to a height, but he was a Tibet, and he was an enthusiastic person. This thing is sure. Although I had originally envisaged Actually, he had originally envisaged. Envisaged means desired. It is said that although I had originally envisaged, originally I had only desired, I had only required, I had only the interest over this. Although I had originally envisaged making the trek. Making the trek actually means a long journey, especially made on foot. It is known as the trek. Although I had originally, now here the author says, here narrator says that although he had originally desired to make a trek, to make a journey on the barefoot in the company of devout believers. Devout believers means the persons who believes in the religious activities. On reflection, I decided that perhaps Norbu would turn out to be the ideal companion, and he decided that Norbu would be the ideal companion who will give him company. He suggested we hire some yaks to carry our luggage, which I interpreted as a good sign, and he had no intention. And here narrator said that he suggested to hire yaks, means the animals which carry the goods, the animals which carry the luggage, and he interpreted that this is the good sign to move our luggage. He had no intention of prostrating himself all round the mountain. Not possible, he cried, collapsing across the table in hysterical laughter. It wasn't his style, and anyway his tummy was too big. And now it is said that since they have hired the yak and they had no intention of prostrating, means laying down across the mountain, because if they will carry the load, then they will lie across the mountain. That's why they had hired the yak. And now what happened? Not possible. Now Norbus said that not possible. He cried. Not possible means because of the hard work. He said not possible. He cried and collapsed across the table in a laughter. And he says that it wasn't his style, and it was said that this was not his style because his stomach was too big. In this chapter, we have seen that how the famous writer Nick Middleton very beautifully presented the travelogue, and how beautifully and how expressively he had used the word, and it seems that it is the real sense. In this way, we have completed this chapter.